welcome. Oh, I didn't have my flag up. Here it is. Got the old Lions
flags
flag.
are upside down today. We turn our flags upside down after a loss.
That is true. I like that. Upside down flag. It's a sad
Sad
Wednesday.
day.
Not because Julius isn't here.
That makes it a little bit more sad, though.
Yeah, but Julius is not here. As you guys know, he's in Germany, so we're dealing with all that time zone craziness. But we'll have a Sunday morning episode to preview the Falcons game as well. So we'll get to hear our boy Julius then. But for now, you're just getting me and my boy Nick. Nick, how goes it? Where'd you go to eat? I heard you went out to dinner. Did you get a nice little steak or something?
I did not. And in fact, plans fell through for that. So
no.
Even though I said that's what I was going to do, we probably could have recorded earlier. I instead made a quick switch, came home, cooked dinner at home, and then we sat and watched our favorite show, which is just coming out, which is Halloween Baking Championship. And it's these great bakers who just do Halloween-themed baking things, and my family gets very much into it. We have already decorated our inside full of Halloween stuff, so we are very much in the mood. We have been watching Halloween movies already. We do not need to wait for Spooktober. We are already doing it here in Spooktember. So it was awesome, like being able to watch that show. It's an hour and a half long show, and just sit down with the kid and the wife. And really, there's nothing that beats that. I look so forward to just watching that. Like, it's a big family night, and it's just so much fun. So that I did not go out to eat, no, but cooked home. It was nothing special. We do this meal. Have you ever eaten something like this? It's rice with hamburger meat in it and then vegetables in it. So like we did asparagus.
No, but that sounds
rice, hamburger, and asparagus, and I put hot sauce on mine. It's healthy. It's delicious.
Still sounds good. Yeah. Nonetheless, we're getting ready to talk about.
Whoa! You can't put me out for what I had for dinner without saying what you had for dinner.
Okay, so I'm a late eater. I always like to eat late, so I still haven't eaten. I actually have my chicken. Made a little chicken in the oven. Gonna get it nice and crispy. Have a little 30-minute episode here, maybe a little longer. I don't know. But yeah. So those are our dinner plans or dinner plan for the night, in case everyone's so curious to hear about that. But we do have some sad news to talk about. And this kind of came out of the blue. It was a slap to the face, a little cherry on top of this loss, and just like a whole just dagger, like a little, turn. And that is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, torn pec. Good news is it tore clearly, so he might be back for this season. That's what the coaches and the optimism is around the team. But nonetheless, he is on IR and out for at least 10 weeks, maybe a little longer. And it sucks so much because he was like the Jamal replacement. He had the personality, the upbeat tempo. He was, a good guy to watch, a good player, kind of like the leader of our defense, the fun guy. But I got to say, he kind of screwed us Sunday with the whole ski mask thing. And then we had to watch Seattle put the ski mask on in their locker room. And it was just like, damn it, man. This was just added fuel to their fire. And I know. If we would have won that game, oh my gosh, we would have had T Grizzly. We would have had Big Sean. Everyone would have been in the locker room popping champagne. We would have been popping. And it would have been trending on ESPN everywhere. But you gotta know what the risk is when you do things like that. And I think that's a good thing for Lions fans and all fans to realize that if you're gonna pull a stunt, you better be ready for the consequences.
You just got to back it up. If you're going to do something like that, you cannot allow Seattle to go out there and drop 37 on us. I get it. GJ played with a torn pec the entire game.
Nice job. Hats out. I agree.
There was a lot, but they were without both their tackles, and we had one sack, and that was Alex Anzalone in like the final minute of the game.
Geno sacked himself.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, sure. Yeah, the box score says we had one sack. Right. It
was like one of those, like the little, that little like carnival song, or like when they're running around, someone's chasing the guy. Yeah.
That makes me think, you ever see the video of Rod Allen? You know who Rod Allen is? The old Detroit Tigers announcer, right? You ever see the video when he was in the minor leagues? A pitcher threw at him, or he wasn't even in the minor leagues. I think he was in Japanese baseball and or Korean baseball, and someone pitched at his head, and he ran after the pitcher, and the pitcher ended up running all the way to the outfield and like around and the whole time it's just that song going. So funny.
That's literally what happened. Yeah.
37 points. You got to be able to back it up. You're going to have the ski mask there. I think we need to retire the ski mask. I don't know.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
So, sorry if you wasted $20 on those. Take them out on your ice fishing trips.
Yeah, exactly, man. Take them out when you go hunting. Yeah.
But yeah, the ski masks that maybe if the defense just flips a switch, gets elite, we could bring them out second half of the season. But for the foreseeable future, let's just keep it home. It wasn't just CJ Gardner-Johnson with a bad injury. Our boy Justin Houston, sack master, defensive end, special team specialist, I guess. Broken ankle, out 6 to 8 weeks. He will probably be back at some point later on the season, but you never know. It's a foot injury, so if the process doesn't go right, if he tweaks something, he could be out the season. So
that was brutal. Yes. Especially because every injury we talk about from here on out, which just seems like there's everyone, is brutal. But this one of the more devastating ones, and it happened while he was out in coverage. Our sack master, you said it, to intro him, was out in coverage multiple times in this game. It was, I mean, I don't want to dive right into Aaron Glenn's scheme right now, but that right there seems like it probably could have been avoided had we not have him out in coverage as much as we did. Unfortunately, we did, and he is out for, what did we say, 6 to 8 weeks?
I will say he broke it on special teams. So special teams.
Was it special teams that happened? Yes. I thought it was on a coverage play.
He was coming down.
My apologies.
And he got lit up.
Oh, like, it is absolutely lit up. You're right.
And his foot caught and just snapped.
Right. I was putting one of the coverage plays I was watching of him and injury.
But together. Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. We had him drop in coverage and
many times.
Noah Fant, like 40-yard pass.
Yeah. Yep. What are we doing?
And you said it early, Nick. I think you did. Maybe it was someone else, but correct me if this is you. Gino was looking at any linebacker or Jerry Jacobs.
Yep. That's exactly right. Avoid Cam Sutton, avoid the safeties. All our linebackers, I don't have the stat right in front of me. What was it? It was like 14 pass attempts, 14 receptions, and something like that. Jerry Jacobs was like, I can't remember, but 130 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns when throwing against Jerry Jacobs.
It was 2 touchdowns, but the third one, DK caught it on like the inch-yard line, and it pretty much, it was a touchdown if they called it a touchdown, but they called it down at the 1 and just didn't overturn it. So
yeah, that's all you do. And I posted a video of, at one point, Jack Campbell lined up against Tyler Lockett, and it was like, no, you have to you have to switch as quick as you can.
Time out, anything, yes.
You can't have that. Luckily, on that video I posted, Lockett happened to just slip on something random, and Gino was throwing to him, but then couldn't throw it to him, so he threw into the ground. That was terrible. Oh, our defense looked. I don't know if it's our defense. It
looked like week 1 last year, man. It literally looked like nothing changed from week 1 last year. After seeing how much it changed in weeks like 8 to 16.
Right. What are we? What? I hope there's a lot of new pieces on this defense. There really
That's true. That is true.
It's going to take time to build a little bit. I'm just trying to stay as a Lions fan. I don't want to sit here and be Mike Valeni and be like, blah, 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 blah. I just think that there's still room to grow. We do have a get right game against Atlanta. Like this, Aaron Glenn, it took like 7 weeks for us to learn what we were doing wrong last year. Hopefully it just takes 1 week this year. You know what I mean? That was a shitty game, but if he can get himself right, he can get our team right. I believe in him.
I agree. And even though it was a tough loss and we're coming off of like probably our best win of the season, no matter what, because it was against the Chiefs. And I think we just had our worst loss of the season. I think this one will be the most painful. I don't think there will be any other games where the Lions will have this much hype and lose. I think we'll have this much hype in a lot of games, or we'll either think, I don't know, these Ravens, or I don't know.
The Cowboys.
Yes. Cowboys.
That's going to be a good game. That's getting flexed. If we do what we're supposed to do, that game's getting flexed.
And then that's all it takes, though, is for the Lions to go out and beat the Ravens, beat the Cowboys, Because if we could beat the Chiefs, we could sure as hell beat those other two teams. And as long as, we just keep it at 4, 5, 6 games losses for the Lions, no matter how they come, that's all I want.
Yeah, it's scary to think about, like, before we dive into the game, like the overall understanding that if Kadarius Toney catches one ball, there's a chance we're 0-2 right now. And that wouldn't be good. That just wouldn't be good. Luckily we're 1-1. Luckily that's not the case, right? Like, you just, in the NFL, you take what you're given, just like in poker and euchre, you're just dealt the cards that you're given, and you do your best on it. But man, I am happy we beat the Chiefs after this one. This was, like you said, I think you're right. This is the most, at least I can't remember the exact word you put on it, adjective you put on it, but I'll say this will be the most devastating loss that we have this year, in my opinion, because it was home opener, because it was after a big win against the Chiefs, because it was ski mask season, because we were still healthy. Like, from moving forward, we'll always be able to put that asterisk next to things. CJGJ wasn't there. Right now, 17 guys aren't there. Like, just like, this was a healthy game. This was us at our top. And this was not Seattle at their top. I guess we were missing Decker, but this was not Seattle at their top, and we still lost 37-31, and we had a really hard time.
Believe it or not, I believe missing Decker was a huge factor on the Lions. I'll get to that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But a couple other injuries, nothing super, super bad, but as of now, the practice injury report, Taylor Decker still did not practice Wednesday. Kirby Joseph added to the practice or not practicing list. Dave Montgomery, that was the other one. Monty, thigh bruise. So it's a little bit better than what I think most Lions fans, or at least myself, thought. I thought he had some sort of sprain, something that would keep him out like 4 weeks-ish. But a thigh bruise is like 2 weeks max. We play Thursday night, week 4, so it'll be tricky. It might be a little bit of a stretch for him to come back. And I think it's going to go based off of how Bam Knight plays, how Craig Reynolds plays, and if Jahmyr Gibbs gets unleashed. Because if Dan Campbell goes, you know what, F it, unleash the beast, and Jahmyr Gibbs is a superstar, then he can say, you know what, David, take the extra week 4 off, and might be a good thing.
Do you think they're going to unleash Gibbs?
No, I don't.
Me neither.
But you never know.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's just... It's tricky because we see all the comparisons to Alvin Kamara, and he had a slow start. We're seeing Bijan, and he's splitting carries with Algier. Everyone's like,
did they split last week? I don't know. I think Bijan had like 80% of snaps.
I will say, I agree. He's splitting carries, but when Tyler Algier gets a carry, Bijan's still lined up on the other side.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's on. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say, because I thought he played 80% of snaps, and I was like,
he plays a lot out there. It's just, they split the carries, but which is a little bit different, which is what I think. That's what Gibbs' role needs to be. He needs to be on the field like 80% of the time, because if you have Gibbs lined up to, Joe from the dairy on next to him, you'll make people focus on Gibbs and not whoever is the other running back. And that's all you need is just one little decoy and just have him run wheel routes, even if it's just a handoff, a check down, a simple play. Jahmyr Gibbs is a decoy.
I know everyone's pounding the table to get all this Gibbs touches and whatnot, and I don't think it needs to happen immediately. But I will say, I know we're kind of just jumping into Atlanta right now, but just for the Atlanta game, and if Montgomery's not playing, Gibbs needs to lead the carry. There is no Craig Reynolds and Bam Knight. No, they can give 2 carries each, I guess, if they need him. But this should be Gibbs. Then when Monty comes back, don't give me unless Gibbs is so electric that we can't take him off the field, which I just don't think it's going to be that case right now. I know we want that, but I just don't think it is going to be that. Bring Monty back and let Monty play. Monty, I've said many times, is our best running back. He is our best running back. Gibbs is the best athlete. Monty's the best running back, and he needs to see the ball when he's on the field. But he's not on the field, so Gibbs needs to be the 20-carry guy. That needs to happen. He's got to figure it out right now. Shit or get off the pot. I do not care about Craig Reynolds. And honestly, I don't care about Bam Knight. I just don't. I understand most forced missed tackles last year from weeks 12 to 18, Bam Knight. I don't care. Give me Gibbs. We drafted him 12th overall. I want to see him right now. And then when Monty is back, I want to see nothing but Monty because I love him. So that's where I'm at.
Great point. Yeah. Monty has been absolutely balling. He's just looked phenomenal. He's looked fast. He's looked powerful. He's had some juke moves. He's just looked very, very impressive overall. Ultimately, the Lions, back to the injuries, which is where we got this whole thing started. We're still without Emmanuel Mosley, so that stinks. We definitely need some quarterback help. Nick, I love that you're playing around with these.
I'm just loving it
right now.
Julius isn't here. I'm going to have some fun while we do the show.
St. Brown didn't practice. Big V, he's likely out a few weeks too, which he's another one I guess we can touch in on. Starter, offensive line, Glasgow's going to have to step up. It just means our depth is even thinner now. So if Jonah goes down, that will be a disaster. If pretty much anyone else goes down the offensive line, that will be not good. But we did bring up, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. It's like Coyote Awuski or whatever. Big offensive lineman from the practice squad. So we have brought in some reinforcements. And that's pretty much it. Frank Ragnow did end up practicing. He is good to go, so that's good. But Nick, ready to dive into this awful Seahawks game? I want to say before we do, one funny moment. DK Metcalf tried to intimidate John Kaminsky, and he gets up in his face, kind of like does a little headbutt. And I know he was saying something like, "Quiet down, little boy," even though John Kaminsky's this 6'5" lineman, probably bigger than DK. And he pretty much just does this little like, "Oh, so scary. Oh." And that's what I wanted to see more of, is just like Seahawks just not being scary and just like the Lions being able to bounce back. And I do hate that it's just, funny guy Nick. I knew you were laughing at that.
My man.
The Lions just need to be able to bounce back. And honestly, Nick, I'm going to hit you with the question. If these were overtime rules, do you think we could have outdueled Seattle? Or, college football overtime rules. Yes.
No. But, Seattle was a better team than we were. Yeah. Hands down. Even without both tackles. They were better coached. They were better prepared. They were ready for the turnovers. They were ready. They were just better in every facet of the game, in my opinion. Other than what? I don't know. Jared Goff looked great. I mean, but honestly, was Geno better than Jared? Yeah. Were their receivers better than ours? Yeah. Were their running backs better than ours? No. I would say Monty was better and Gibbs combined were better than K9, but their O-line, their defense, their coaching, their special teams, everything about it was Seattle was greater and superior to Detroit. And that sucks. That's a lot of humble pie that you got to eat. Fill up on it, because I don't want any more humble pie the rest of this year. I wanted 17-0. I'll take 16-1. But damn it, I don't want any more humble pie. I am full on it. So, poof.
Yeah, I agree. This was.
Do you think we would have outdueled them in college playoff?
Probably not.
It's been tough. All we had to do was stop them once and to get the ball. We couldn't even do that. Like, that was 70 yards.
They walked down the final drive, 9 plays, 75 yards, just walked it in, targeted. Even though, they just targeted Jerry Jacobs linebackers the entire way down.
Brian Branch on the touchdown grab, but that non-holding call was brutal. And I'd hate to blame the refs, but fuck, they did not do a good job, dude. They did not. I don't care. I'll blame the refs for every loss, damn it. The Lions don't lose games. The refs lose them for the Lions.
One thing I did notice is Seattle missed not one, but 2 field goals. Yeah. If they would have made one of these field goals, the Lions would have had to score a touchdown. And it would have been either win or loss. No overtime. Would have been win or loss, because Yeah. Either we go up by 1 and win the game, or we go up by 1 and they kick a field goal and they win the game. So
yeah, but we passed on 2 field goals for 4th down attempts. So I mean, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
So let's talk about the big old elephant in the room, and that's Dan Campbell being aggressive as he is, going for it 4th and down, just laying his nuts on the line. And then he comes out in his press conference after he's getting a little scrutiny for kind of not going for a touchdown, trying to no kill shot in that last minute 05. So the Lions were, let me see if we can pull it up. The Lions, we were on the 36-yard line, or yes, the 38-yard line, and we had 1:05 left. Dan Campbell played for a field goal, 100%. And then he comes out in his press conference and says, I did not want to leave any time for them to kick a field goal and win the game. Well, that tells me Dan Campbell was thinking, oh my gosh, this defense cannot stop anything, which we couldn't. Mm-hmm. And also he was thinking all they need, or they would have needed a touchdown, not a field goal if we would have scored a touchdown there. So it's not like, oh, they come down for a chip shot field goal. No, they would have had to get a touchdown. And Dan Campbell was that less confident, not confident in our defense that we wouldn't be able to get a stop for a touchdown within 40 seconds. Granted, they had 2 timeouts left and were carving us up, but still, is that any type of extra head scratching for you, Nick?
No, it isn't. And honestly, I don't get. Yeah, it's weird because it's like Dan Campbell. He always does these crazy things and he goes for it and he goes for the touchdowns and we go for the kill shot. It's why didn't he do it? Jared Goff pass complete for 4 yards, right? Jared Goff incomplete to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jared Goff incomplete to Jahmyr Gibbs. It's not like we just ran the ball. It's not like we were or was that last one complete and then it was a timeout? That's what it was. Complete to Jahmyr Gibbs for 3 yards. It's not like we weren't trying to win this game. We just weren't trying to lose this game. And I'm okay with that. Yes, no, we haven't looked good, but if we tie them up 31-31, they had only scored 24 offensive points. That's not that much. They had a pick 6 to help them get to 31. It's not like we were just in this 48-45 shootout like we were last year. It wasn't that case. We made 3rd down stops. We did stop them. We just weren't excellent. We didn't make the stops that we needed to. We went down 31-21 and came back to tie this game up. There was nothing in that. There was never a moment in my mind on that 30-yard line was I we better throw a Hail Mary to Josh Reynolds. What do we do? What? No, we don't have DK Metcalf. We don't have Mike Evans. Even if Jamo was here, who are you trusting to go get that ball in the 30-yard line? We just don't have that. That's not who we are. Man, we dink and dunk. We matriculate down the field, as our late, great John Madden would say. This is who we are. And it is who we are to go for it on 4th down, Dan Campbell likes to do. I think we need to talk more about the field goals and the points we left on the line going for earlier rather than not going for a kill shot in this final drive. Get that to overtime. It's a 50-50 shot if you win the coin toss. It's a 50-50 shot. It's probably not even a 50-50 shot if you throw that ball into the back of the end zone. That can be intercepted. There's a ton of stuff to go along with that. So I am not, and Valeni was yelling all about it. This on my ride home from work today. Trash, just trash over there. I don't like it. 97-1, you're pissing me off again. Just let the man coach. Dan Campbell did what Dan Campbell did. If we could do it better, we'd be coaches. Can we sit here and criticize? Sure, but what I want to criticize is the 4th down attempts that we had earlier in the game, rather than this non-kill shot. We went for it. He had a good ball with Amon-Ra and threw it to his feet. Goff messed that up. End of story. Yeah. Not Dan Campbell. Not Dan Campbell saying not going. Not Ben Johnson. Goff has to have a better throw on 2nd and 9 or whatever it was. That's the end of story, in my opinion.
Was tough because honestly, now you got another question. Although we might not be able to beat them in regular this game or even college football overtime rules. Now, if we got the coin toss, you think we score a touchdown?
Yes.
I agree too. I think we would have went down, scored same exact thing as what they did to us.
Yep.
Because honestly, they couldn't really stop us either. We were covering them up pretty good. We had two. We essentially gave them 14 points. Dave Montgomery had that awful fumble right to start the second half.
Oh, that's right.
Set him up inside pretty much the red zone.
And also, one of the fourth downs that we went for, it was like on our own, 45
on our own 40,
and they
scored.
You're
right. Yeah, here.
That was the punt we need to do. That's where Dan Campbell has to trust Jack Fox to win that game. And our defense, again, our defense wasn't that bad. People are like criticizing the defense like we allowed 48 points. Like, again, we only allowed 24, and some of those points, I don't remember what they did after the fourth down that we didn't get, whether it was a field goal or touchdown. 10 or some of those points came off of turnovers inside of their own zone. So, like, what else are you expecting from our defense? Like, win this game, our defense played just fine. We didn't get any sacks.
Honestly, yeah.
Sacks suck. Who cares about a sack? We had more pressures. We were doing just fine. But ultimately, we lost the game, so we didn't do just fine. And everyone can sit here and say, the Lions are terrible. Aaron Glenn needs to be on the hot seat. Those are casual fans who don't know how to watch the Lions, in my opinion.
I agree. It's nice that we kind of get the Falcons. I think it's a perfect,
very nice
get-right game.
Very nice.
They do have a lot of weapons on there. Don't get me wrong. Drake London, Pitts, and
Kyle Pitts is going to light us up. Our linebackers will not run.
That'll be interesting. He will do good.
Start him in DFS for anyone watching.
But honestly, you know what linebacker has stepped up for us? Derek Barnes, baby. And I wish Julius could be here to represent his boy because he has preached for him since the day we drafted that man. Yes. And Derek Barnes, honestly, he's looked like our best linebacker. He has been looking, at least on run defense. I haven't really seen him a whole lot in pass coverage protection, but he has plugged runs, made plays, been all over the ball. He has taken that next step, and it's good to see homegrown players do that because now that gives me faith. All right, maybe Rodrigo's got another gear in him. Maybe Hutch can take it to superstar level when we do see, a little extra help because he's getting double teamed pretty much every single time, and even held too, honestly. The refs have not been giving him any help. And granted, it's going to happen with stars like that. You're going to get a little bit more holding and refs to not, notice that stuff. But Hutch leading the league with pressures, tied with TJ Watt. And granted, he's not getting the sacks. If he can just keep doing that, keep pressure on the quarterback, it will come. Like, we play Pat Mahomes. I'll write that one off. But Geno Smith, I do believe he's a smart, crafty quarterback. And granted, he did have one bad play, and that was pretty much the only sack the Lions had, where he kind of just ran around. And I think he just kind of panicked himself. But other than that, he's been a tough guy to bring down, and that's been even through last year as well. Yeah,
and these are two and Desmond Ritter's pretty elusive. I do want to sack him more than 0 times or 1 time, but he's crafty. He's just inexperienced, so I don't know how well he's gonna be able to sit in that pocket. Geno is a very experienced quarterback. People might think he's only 2 or 3 years in this league. They don't know that he was drafted 8 years ago by the Jets or whatever it was. Like, he's very experienced, and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. It's hard to get sacks, and this is what I put on. What did we say? Something on Twitter. It must have been you or Julius who posted it. It was something, but I respond it was like the pressures or whatever. And I was like, I would so much rather have through 2 weeks. Oh, it was Carolina and Detroit. Did you post that?
I don't think so.
All right, so Julius must have. Way to go, Julius. It's a good tweet because it showed Carolina's got 6 sacks, 8 pressures, and 15 hurries, right? We've got 0 sacks, 25 pressures, and 30 hurries. And it's just statistically, you want the hurries and pressures. The sacks will follow. That's like having a ton of catches right at the 1 yard line instead of the one guy who caught 2 touchdowns. You just the pace will come. You will the clog will release, and you will start to get this flood of sacks. It will happen. We are coming. We are coming hot. We're coming heavy. It sucks that we lost Houston, but we have a lot of good players on this defense. It would be nice to have Jalen Carter, but that's a different conversation. We're doing just fine. And Hutch, everyone will get home. Everyone will get home. Don't worry. We play Justin Fields, who doesn't know what's going on, and the entire Bears organization is in shambles. Dude, they don't know what's going on over there. And
they literally might go 0-17.
They would have they would get Caleb Williams if that happens, and I kind of don't want that.
God, that's scary.
I kind of want them to win 3 games.
You're so right.
Not against Detroit, but I hope
this is what I preach.
Arizona can go have Caleb Williams. Sure, they do what they did with Kyler Murray. I don't care what they do over there.
Agreed. But. Yes. So we need to root for Panthers to win because the Bears own that pick. So Panthers and Bears to get a couple wins in there because the Panthers are 0-2 as well.
Yes. So what if the Bears had the top 2 picks in the draft?
I know that's.
Wow, that would suck, dude.
Don't
worry, they would draft Caleb Williams and they'd run him right into the ground. They wouldn't know how to handle it.
That's very true. But Justin Fields, this is what I've hoped. He would just slowly string the Bears along. That he would be terrible, and then a couple weeks he'd show flashes where they're like, "Oh, he could be a Jalen Hurts. He's a Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen guy." And it's like, no, the dude cannot pass. Just stop looking at his amazing runs. He can't pass. If you can't pass, you cannot succeed.
What's going on with their defensive coordinator?
He resigned. So
he resigned. The FBI's raiding his house.
There's a lot of rumors swirling. So I won't make any comments on it, but
okay.
Sorry, it's weird. You can look it up. I doubt he'll coach if the allegations are true.
I didn't know he was the Lions defensive back coach for 4 years with Jim Caldwell.
Interesting.
2014 to 2017, I believe.
Interesting. Well, it's nice knowing you, buddy. Have fun in China.
Let's move on. Let's move on, though. Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap things up, let's talk about the other big play in this game. And that's I blame it on the announcers or whoever runs the Lions the broadcasting, but someone put up the damn Jared Goff, 349 passes since an interception. And I'm almost positive it was like the commercial break before. And then the Lions come back, and sure enough, they do like a run play, and then it's a pick freaking 6. And it just takes all the wind, all the sail out of the Lions. And it came at such a bad time because it was just a 3-point game. We're getting ready to go back down and take the lead. Then all of a sudden, it's a 10-point game. And the Lions are down double digits, right back where they were, but down 10-3.
Yeah, that's on Gibbs. That whole thing, that's not a Jared Goff interception. You should not put that as Jared Goff interception. That is Gibbs not running the route that he's supposed to run or not being on the same page with Goff. That was a choice route. Gibbs did a turnaround hook, and instead of staying put where Goff threw it, he starts to lean to his left and go towards the middle, thinking that it was an open space. Gibbs also had a really bad drop earlier in the game on 3rd down. I'm not saying anything, but that's 2. And that's all you get. Gibbs, stop fucking up. You're a 12th pick. I don't want anything like that anymore, ever again. I don't want to see another single drop. We lived the running back dropping a huge pass to win a game against Chicago at home. Oh. We lived it. I'm done with it. The running back in the first round was a pick questioned by everyone and hailed by us because we are slappies and we trust in Brad Holmes. Don't let us down, Jameer. Don't let us down. I know you're listening. Don't let us down. This is the week. Montgomery's out. Go be the best you can be because he needs to make up for that. That interception, that stat that Jared Goff would have had the NFL history record for most
like 8 passes
interception. Wait, what?
He was like 8 passes away. All the top 3 are so close. It's
like he finished with 383, and I think 403 is like the record, or 408 or something. So he's like 25 passes.
Yeah,
I think is what it was. But still, he would have broken that record if Jahmyr Gibbs didn't run the wrong route. And Goff will put that on himself, and that's great. That's what a quarterback should do. And I'm sorry that I'm going to sit here and just down and trash Gibbs right now, but that wasn't it. And through 2 weeks, I haven't seen what I want to see. Gibbs has to be excellent. Or I'm going to start thinking Brad Holmes, for the 2nd year in a row, possibly squandered a 1st-round pick. Because if J-Mo doesn't come back and be excellent and demand 8 to 10 targets a game, not 1 or 2, if he is not getting 8 to 10 targets a game, along with Gibbs at that time in the season getting 20 to 25 touches, carries, receptions, whatever, I really like Brad Holmes later rounds, and I'll start to understand why the Rams would trade their first 2 rounds every single year, because he knows what he's doing later in the draft. But maybe they're just like, look, dude, you can't draft in the first round. He did Sewell, he did Hutch. Now, obviously, but he's also done J-Mo, Campbell, and Gibbs. So now we have not just a small sample size. We're starting to have a big sample size, and I want to see all 3 of them produce. Jack Campbell did not produce last week. He was barely on the field. Jahmyr Gibbs did not produce last week. He was barely on the field. J-Mo did not produce last week. He was not on the field. That's 3 out of your 5.
I agree. And I think maybe it's like Brad Holmes if it's not a clear-cut first rounder, because honestly, Hutch and Sewell, they're kind of in different categories than Campbell, Gibbs, and J-Mo. Like those dudes, any team that had that pick at that moment would have taken that player. And they fell just maybe a smidge too much and were already an elite player. Mm-hmm. So
seems honestly, like that was Jalen Carter, though.
Yeah.
And I don't want to keep bringing that up because that's not a fun show to watch. No one wants to watch our show talk about that. You got to.
I will say the Goff interception. I think he was hit. I think Goff barely got nicked on his right arm, elbow, something. I do think Gibbs did float a little bit. He saw open space and was like, oh, I dropped that first one. Let's run it back, baby. I'm over here. And Goff was like, no, hit, throw. And it was just like perfectly bad, because I truly think Jared Goff doesn't just throw a football right into the dude's arms. We had Matt Nelson playing at right tackle. They had a great pass rush all game. You could see the video, and it's hard to tell when the ball was released, if he did get touched. There isn't any – he didn't come out and say, oh, I was hit, blah, 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 so I will never know. But it does look like it, and ultimately, I don't think those plays will happen. Those are one of those fluky plays that's like, why did that have to come right now? But I don't think that will happen again this year.
That's the butterfly effect right there, right? Taylor Decker's injured, and through that comes this first interception, which through that gives them this huge lead that we have to come back, and instead of winning the game with that last field goal, we are tying the game. Butterfly effect, man. Alternate universe, had he been healthy in a different multiverse, then maybe we'd have won that game.
Yeah, wild, but a brutal loss. It was
how about the refs, dude? Before we end the show, how about the refs, dude? What's going on?
Yeah, that last holding on Hutch, that was a hold. Like, he was like,
that was incredible. I cannot believe they didn't call that. They also called a stupid ass penalty on Geno Smith, which then they were like, I'm talking to America. And it was the funniest line of all time. I watched that live and was like, what the fuck did he just say? I'm talking to America here. But it was a bad call. That was a terrible call. It was only a call that would go against the Lions. So it was very kind of nice to see it go against Seattle. But
did you have the flashback too when DK fucking ripped Kirby? I believe it was Kirby's face. Maybe it was CJ. Someone's face mask. DK just absolutely had his hands in there, yanked him down, and because he had his hands in there, Kirby was just like trying not to get his head ripped off, just flailing around. They're like, nope, double pass interference.
Yes.
Offsetting penalties, replay, second down, touchdown. And it was like, really?
Not on top of that, Jared Goff gives a handoff and pretends to throw the ball but doesn't, just continues to back up, and like 4 seconds later gets rocked, who then the dude starts to celebrate. Kick him out of the game. The Lions would be kicked out of the game immediately for that. It's the worst. This is the same officiating crew. What was it that Jamie Collins got kicked out of the game for headbutting, or
Josh Reynolds offensive pass interference where he's just running in front of the dude,
literally just running, or the defensive pass interference on him where they get tripped up, and he says one of the best lines post game ever. He goes, I don't call for flags, I'm a street baller. That's the coolest line I've ever heard. Josh Reynolds, I think even Justin put it in here. 2 tutties this week for Reynolds because he's a street baller. I love that, dude. But yeah, referees sucked. It was terrible. Who was it? Cleat Blake or I don't remember who it was, but they're terrible.
Yep. Awful game for the Lions. Hopefully we get a new set of refs. We're not getting that set, so that's good. Hopefully these guys don't think we're the same old Lions, want to treat us as new Lions. But ultimately, we're 1-1 going into week 3. And if you told me that at the beginning of the season, I'd be like, all right, I'll take it. Let's roll with Falcons week 3.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, it's 1-1 if we beat the Chiefs or if we lost to the Chiefs and beat the Seahawks. So we have a nice next few games we play. I believe it's the Falcons. Then we play Green Bay, which will be a tricky one, but if we can beat Green Bay, the
Packers suck. Don't worry. They only beat Chicago, and Chicago's the worst team in the NFL. Green Bay, and everyone's like, Jared Love, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. Man, he played the Bears and the Falcons. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Wait till we roll the fucking Falcons, and then we'll roll Green Bay, and then we got Carolina, and then we got Tampa Bay, and we're 5-1 at that point. No worries. Green Bay
have a little tricky stretch after the Panthers game. We play the Bucs, who maybe are sneaky good.
The Bucs played the Vikings and the Bears. You got to focus on the opponent.
Baker and Mike Evans have been looking good, though. I think their offense is decent, but their defense is not bad.
Who they play this week? I bet you any money they lose by 10 plus points. It doesn't even matter who you tell me, but I'm just going to, right now, on air, 10 plus points they lose by.
Who is it? It is the, I probably want to take that back. Actually, wait, no, I'm sorry. You will probably be right on that one. They play the Eagles.
Yes. And Darius Slay is not going to allow Mike Evans that. Baker just played the 2 worst teams. We have the 3 worst teams in the league in our division, pretty much. 3 of the worst 5. Green Bay is not good. Minnesota is not good. That's why they just tried to trade for Cam Akers, dude. And Chicago is a dumpster fire. We have a terrible division. That's why winning the division will be so important this year. But I'm telling you, go roll Atlanta. So that Tampa Bay, that's an easy win. So we're 5-1. Who's after that? Baltimore.
We have the Ravens, and then we're back home against the Raiders for Monday Night Football, which will be
easy win. They're the worst team in NFL.
And then at the Chargers, which
that'll be tough. Yeah. So it looks like we'll be 7-3 after the first 10 games. That's great. Or no, that was 9 games. 6-3 after the first 9 games, and that's great. Yeah. We just started with Atlanta.
I will say, we play. Man, our last 2, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3.
Oof, this is a good.
5 of our last 8 games are individual. So Vikings, Bears, or Packers. 5 of the last 8.
Yeah, we're gonna fucking go 6-0 in the division. My buddy put down a bet on that.
I put it down too, baby.
Oh, maybe you're my buddy. Someone was telling me about it. I thought it was my other buddy, but maybe it was you actually. I know this guy. He's my buddy. So yeah, that's smart. That's very smart.
Hopefully. But that's all we got. Thanks, Mom, for popping on. Shout out to my mom who had a nice old birthday a couple days ago.
Hey, happy birthday, Mary, our #1 fan.
You guys can check us out on Honolulu Blues _. You can check Nick out at Nick Faber NFL. You can check out myself at Everyday FFB. I'm giving off lots of good fantasy advice. Currently, the #4 wide receiver ranker on Fantasy Pros right now.
But what rank are you on SFB right now?
Top 500. So I'll take it.
When you're top 123, you come talk to me.
Yeah. I had to deal with Aaron Rodgers, Achilles blown, Austin Eckler, concussion. No, not concussion, but injury. But
I'm right there with you. I got Eckler and Barkley, and I'm like,
this week will be fun.
It was fun while it lasted.
I did draft Kareem Hunt literally, I think, my last pick. So
good.
Start to pay off. Hopefully, not gonna win unless he's just terrible. Shout out to everyone for watching. As always, if you're on YouTube, Spotify, whatever, give us a like, subscribe. We appreciate it all. And be on the lookout for our giveaway, because last week we went with Sam Laporta. He had a monster game. Dude looked like a beast. He should have got mentioned in this episode. Surprisingly, we didn't really talk about him a whole lot, but How about Laporta absolutely just bodying Bobby Wagner, stiff-armed him to the ground, not once, but twice. Whew.
Sam Laporta currently ranks 3rd in the NFL for most broken tackles by a tight end behind Gerald Everett and
man. I like Laporta.
Mm-hmm.
And
3rd most receiving yards for a tight end in the NFL right now, I believe, behind Gerald or Darren Waller and Evan Ingram, I believe, lead. Is that right? No, Zach Ertz.
Hawkinson's got to have it.
All right, shit. Hold on. I'm looking this up now because we ain't leaving this show without figuring that out real quick. Hold on. Who would you say it was while you're finishing that real quick?
I think it's Hawkinson. He's been targeted quite a lot. Kirk Cousins is thrown. Maybe he's just number 1 in fantasy because he has all those touchdowns.
All right, yards by tight ends. Darren Waller, 112. Okay, so I guess this has Laporta 4th, but I don't agree with it. Anyways, it says Waller 112, Hunter Henry 108, Evan Ingram 106, Sam Laporta 102, TJ Hawkinson in 5th with 101.
That's insane. I love how you say that. You're like, only 4th? Man, I thought he was 3rd.
I thought it was 3rd. Huh? That's why we check our stats.
That's great. Yeah, Laporta, honestly, he's showing some promise. And if it would suck if J-Mo and Campbell or Gibbs, a couple of those guys weren't, superstar 1 first-round picks. But if we figure out Brad Holmes just needs to trade these and we go the Rams route, I'm cool with it. There's tons of players every year asking for trades, asking for just, a new scenery, a little bit more money. And as long as, Lions have the ammo, might as well pull the trigger because Brad Holmes he's done it once. He saw the master class. I don't know who was the GM there. I think it was draw a blank. Les Snead. I want to say
I think that's right. I think you're right.
Yeah. He did a phenomenal job. So it's like he learned under him. He can do it too. But as always, go
Lions.